Now then, back to the floods, and as we've been hearing, insurance bosses are meeting with government ministers right now to discuss their response to the floods. So what are their options? Well, Liz Peace is the Chief Executive of the British Property Federation. She joins us from central London. Good to talk to you. I mean, first of all, have you got an estimate in the Federation of how many homes have either had their premiums ratcheted up because of their liability to flooding or can't get insurance at all?
Well, it's quite a difficult and sort of fluid situation because basically there was an agreement between the insurance industry and the government, which technically ran out last year, which was called the Statement of Principles, whereby the insurance industry said they would continue to insure at reasonable cost even those people in high-risk areas, provided the government spent a certain amount on flood defences. Now, as I say, that agreement finished last year. It's been temporarily extended whilst the insurance industry and the government work out a new scheme. And this thing is called Flood Re. The Re stands for reinsurance. And basically what that is saying is that there'll be a small sort of premium charge on all insurance policies to ensure that the insurance industry will still then give reasonably priced insurance even to those in high-risk areas and people who've been disadvantaged or flooded in the latest bad weather. The problem is there are a whole series of exclusions to this. The new arrangement, this Flood Re thing, doesn't actually cover everything that the old Statement of Principles did. So we're actually very, very worried that there could be up to, say, 70,000 leaseholders whose properties aren't covered, a large number of small and medium-sized enterprises who aren't covered, people who have small buy-to-let properties wouldn't be covered, and interestingly, even people in sort of Band H of council tax, so the people with bigger homes, wouldn't be covered by this new agreement.
So do you think the government should be using a bigger stick? There seems, as you're saying there's no guarantee that all properties that might be affected can get some form of insurance. Should the government force the insurer's hand?
Well, this is an agreement between the government and the Association of British Insurers, and we don't see why the government can't sit down with the insurance industry and say, this is actually what we expect, a full 100% coverage of all the sorts of properties that will be affected by flood. Rainwater and river water does not discriminate on whether you're a leasehold or a freehold or an owner-occupied property. It just flows.
That's a very good point, but I suppose they're trying to keep the cost down for those whose properties are not at risk, because there's a charge then going to be attached to their insurance policies, isn't there?
Well, from what we've seen, the actual increase in premium for everybody in order to provide the sort of cover for those who are at risk, it is still relatively small. And it's a lot better than having to come in and firefight when there is a disaster of the scope and size that we've just seen. All the sort of government interventions, have we totted up the actual cost of those? So it seems to me that this is a bit of, what I would describe as sort of cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you actually did it properly in the first place, in the long term, it wouldn't actually be that much more expensive.
OK, well, some very good points there. Liz Peace, thank you very much indeed. Chief Executive of the British Property Federation, and we'll be keeping an eye on what emerges from those talks taking place right now in Downing Street.